Hey guys, this is Black17 here, and we're back. And so I have decided to splice this video again with this other one, so it'll be a horrible video. Well, I don't know. Could be, could not be. Well, who knows? So, anyways, we're up against Raven for our Week 1 battle for BPL. Uh, and this team is kind of like terrifying, I'm not gonna lie, because you have Landorus, Gengar, which that thing, if I recall, has Nasty Plot now, and Kyurem, which is now a threat with Dragon Dance and Freeze Dry. So yeah, he also has Heracross, Lycanroc Day, Mantine. So other threats he could have brought were possibly the Molten, Eldegoss, Drafty, and the Mega Scizor. I was very surprised that he didn't bring Mega Scizor here because I thought he would bring it. So yeah, at first I was like thinking to myself, wait a minute, why not Mega Scizor? Because you know he could just get in pivot. He could pivot switch into like almost any mon he wanted to. So yeah. So here I decided, you know what? I'm gonna bring my. I decided not to bring my own Mega because for that reason. But at the same time, I do like how Volcarona could pretty much cleave through this team if I'm able to like set up for free. Then again, like based off this team, there is no way in hell I'm gonna be able to set up for free. So yeah. Anyways, for my team, I have a Gliscor, which is really Spadef. I think it's like your max Spadef. Earthquake, Toxic, Rocks. Suicune with Scald, Ice, he wins. Like Calm Mind and Substitute. Mia with Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Toxic. That was kind of like sort of like a sort of a throwback to. Well, I don't think it's a throwback, but anyways, I just wanted a fast Mew to Toxic Kira before it goes for like a a sub. So yeah. Then I have Fiery Dance, Quiver Dance, Volcarona. And if I could get this thing going, then yeah, I could pretty much sweep. And again, I could just break through, like let's say, Mantine with like Hidden Power Electric, which I do have, thankfully. So then Romatis is our Spadef, cleric, and lastly we have Scarf Lucario with Inner Focus. Now, Scarf Lucario is not for Landorus whatsoever because Landorus still outspeeds us by like a couple points. It's actually for Gengar because if that thing sets up a sub or gets to +2, then we just lose, and I don't like losing. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So I lead off with Mew as he lead off with Landorus. So right off the bat, I'm like thinking to myself, what to do, and I was thinking maybe just to draw Toxic, but you know what? I'm just gonna go for like maybe that Ice Beam here, as he goes back to Landorus, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna go for Toxic. I'm able to Toxic this Landorus, and if this thing is set up, at least we are able to like, where we'll chip this thing down. So yeah, here I would go for the Ice Beam, and he lives on 1 HP. He goes for the U-turn, but at least we know that this thing is how do I say it? Not scorched. So yeah. Here I switch out and I go to Suicune because I'm like, I have no switches for this thing, and he goes into Gengar. Thank God this thing's not Life Orb, so goes to Kyurem, and I'm gonna go for Scald, and I burn this thing. And this is like worst case scenario for me because I'm like, oh God, Suicune, you're already messing up like you did last time. This burn is really good and bad because assuming that this is like sub Kyurem, this could be really bad for me because you could just um if he's physical, then this is good for me. But if this is special, which is very likely the case, then this could be bad. So yeah, at least I'm chipping him down a little bit. So here I go to Aromatisse as he goes for sub. I'm like, oh great, like this thing's gonna live through all this shit. And I'm just gonna go for Moonblast, try to chip this thing down, remove that sub. Goes to Mantine, and I go for a Wish. As he goes hard Heracross, as I go to Mew, gotta heal back up, as he's gonna get that Flame Orb. I'm like, alright, you want that Flame Orb so badly? I'm gonna go for a flamethrower. As he goes for a knockoff, and I live barely. I don't know if it's a roll for me to live or not, but I think I should have been able to two-shot him with flamethrower regardless. But the fact that with the burn damage now, I should, like with the crit, this pretty much guarantees it. So it could have been like a roll to kill two-shot him, but thankfully we get the crit. Or I don't know. By the way, he would have been two-shotted by flamethrower with burn plus burn. So yeah. And he goes back to Mantine, and I just go for flamethrower again. Hopefully he doesn't burn this time. So here I decide, you know what? If he's gonna toxic me, I'm fine with that because I could just synchronize it back. So I'm just gonna roll for Roost, as he does indeed toxic me, and I'm like, all right, you're good, you're toxic. That's cool. Like that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. It's like what Han Solo said to those Wookiees. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back, go to Gliscor. Hopefully he doesn't have Hidden Power Ice, and he goes into Gengar, and I'm like, oh, hello there. And I'm like, I wish I had knockoff, but thankfully he doesn't. He's not levitating, just like how most Gengars are prior to Gen 6 and Gen 3 to Gen 6. Because you cannot EQ a Gengar between generations 3 to 6. You can between Gen 7 and Gen 8, so. And Gen 1 and Gen 2. So like half of Gengar's life was like basically like floating around, and then the other half is now. Well, maybe it was like more or less. I don't know. You did the math, guys, with according to time of this guy having, like, you know, like, levitate and, like, having, that, so. As you can see, we knock him out with Earthquake. As he goes hard Landorus, I'm like, okay, what can you do to me? And I'm like, oh my god, another Hidden Power Ice. And we lived that. You see that? Like, Gliscor lived 2 Hidden Power Ices. That's, I don't know what you could say about that. Like, but man, Gliscor is a champ. Now, this Landorus is dead. And this game is looking really good in my favor. I just gotta get rid of this Kyurem somehow. He goes to Aromatisse as he goes for sub. And at this point, I'm like, alright, I just gotta get rid of this Kyurem somehow. Or get, like, Volcarona set up in a way, so. Here, I decide to go into, well, I think I just go, like, Protect. I do a little bit of Wish Protect stuff, and I think I just go for Heal Bill, yeah, just to cure the poisons on my Mons, but more specifically Mew. And I am like gonna go back to Mew because I think I just wanted to, I think I went back just because I just wanted to like get Chip onto or I just wanted to recover. By the way, like, Mantine's not doing anything to me, and I'm not doing anything to him back. So I'm like, he could just recover stall all he wants. I'm just gonna win this war. So I'm just gonna put up some rocks there. And at this point, like, as you can see, Gliscor, he's gonna take those. So I'm just gonna go for Roost. As his last hero reveals the last move, which is Defog. And I'm like, well, that's nice. As if Mantine dies, being poisoned to death. He goes hard to this guy, and he goes for a Facade. And I go for an Earthquake, and I put him in range of burn. So Gliscor is going ham right now. And all there is left is this dragon and a dog. And Aromatisse can go in. Hopefully I don't get frozen there, but yeah. That's pretty much how it goes, because at this point I'm just gonna Wish Protect myself around this. And yeah, he goes for sub, try to predict that. But at this point, I don't think, like, I think with him not having Ice Beam, this is pretty huge because, well, he has more chances to freeze, but at the same time, I could pretty much, as soon as I get in Lucario, this game's over. Because I have like a Scarf Lucario, as I mentioned. And I get a special attack drop, and as I think he just decides to like go in the tower here. Because yeah. Goes into the Lycanroc. And here I go with the Suicune. And I go here just to take the like Wish. And the last thing I do is actually go for Icy Wind. For a couple of reasons. I didn't want him to sweep me in case he is Scarfed. And at this point I'm just gonna like go for an Icy Wind to Scald. And yeah. That's gonna be the game. So GG's to Raven, as we were able to advance 1-0 and start out the season pretty strong. So yeah. This game was pretty like how I envisioned this old team to work with Lucario. Even though Lucario and like Volcarona did do anything, Mew, Suicune, Gliscor, and my Aromatisse were able to like just hold the line together. That was pretty much designed around like those guys chipping their other team down, so both Lucario can just clean or sweep them. So yeah. Alright, so we'll just move on to game 2, and yeah. That'll probably be the last part of the video, so be right there. Alright, so we're back for the last battle of, or last part of this video, as we are doing our week 2 match, or going over this battle, as we're up against MarioxTurn. So this is like, I remember this battle was from I believe like earlier, I think I'll say like mid-February, so yeah. And I remember this matchup preparing for this matchup was like pretty annoying, because he had some very scary mons like Celesteela, Mega Diancie, Powdon, and I think Spiritomb, because Spiritomb could have been very annoying as a Pursuit Trapper for Mew. And Celesteela is always one of those mons that you gotta have to keep. I usually have precautions around it, but this time I don't. Well, I did with this Mew set, but like in Gliscor. So that's all I'll talk about in a bit. So for this battle, I brought like a very Stallbreaker Mew with Nightshade, Knockoff, and Taunt, pretty much designed to beat Celesteela. Nightshade might sound weird, but it actually is very helpful since he has no Pokemon that are like what are they, like resistance to Ghost, like, you know, normal types. So yeah, I could just like Nightshade spam that and just spam Knockoff as well. So Gliscor has Earthquake, Toxic, Taunt, and I just realized, just while looking at my sets, this is a Calm Gliscor. I had a Calm Gliscor with EQ with minus attack. Wow, that could have been. Wow, that is, man, that's peak. That's peak me building when I'm just building on the fly. How did I not notice? Then I have like a Suicune with Subtoxic, Calm Mind, Scald, Suicune, a little bit of speed for Celesteela and his rest of his mons. Then I have Volcarona with Boots, Flamethrower, Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, and Roost. Pretty standard set for Volk. I would have to like, for this team, I had to like decide between hitting everything or Diancie and some Pokemon, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna hit everything but Diancie and just try to chip Diancie down throughout this battle. So yeah. And Aerodactyl was weird because I had Stealth Rocks, Iron Head, Crunch, and Roost, so no stabs this week at all. I was actually considering Aqua Tail for the Diancie and Piloswine, but I was like, I need Roost as well, so yeah. And lastly, I do have Aromatisse with Mood Blast, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell, so it's Cleric sets, so yeah. Let's just get right into the battle. So I remember like looking at his leads, I did not want him to like just automatically lead against with Latios as Miss Magus or Diancie, so I go Aerodactyl as my lead. So he goes for Piloswine, and I could have just went hard Mew, like, or led with Mew or Gliscor, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah. So here I switch out, go into like Mew as he takes the Ice Crash, pretty nice. And I decide, you know what, I'm gonna go for Taunt, prevent the Rocks up, or Toxic, as he goes for Rocks indeed. Here he goes to Latios, and I just reveal Knockoff, and I just get rid of his Life Orb. And this is huge for me, because now Latios is pretty much, like, has his item removed. And now I go for Roost because it's predicting a Draco Meteor, but he goes for Thunderbolt as I go for a Taunt. Try to see what he wants. I didn't want any of his monsters set up, so yeah. So here I go for another Knockoff, as he makes a good read of his own. And now I revealed my tech, which is Nightshade. The reason why I had Nightshade was because I could like pretty much bypass these defense boosts that Diancie can get, and Diancie has very low HP, so I could do a lot of chip to this thing, regardless. So here I'm just gonna be Roost spamming and going for my own Nightshades here and there. So he goes for Protect, and that's huge because now I could get back to full. And he goes for Moonblast. reduces my special attack, which is non-existent, so I get rid of Diancie. It's very low. And here I think I just try to go back to full. And I think around this time he decides to switch out and goes to Mismagius. I really wanted to go for knockoff there, but I didn't have the balls to, so yeah. Because like, I wouldn't want to going for a knockoff against a mon like with you know, that much, you know, defense boost is really bad, and it's a mega, so yeah. Maybe I would have went Nightshade, but you know, at this point I'm like, you know, I don't want to lose Mew too like early, so I go to Aromatisse as he goes for Nasty Plot. And I'm like, well shit, I have to lose a Pokemon now, and I'm just gonna go for Moonblast, get a good chip on him, as does reveal these leftovers. As he goes for Shadow Ball, as I go for another Moonblast, and I'm able to chip this thing to like a third of its HP. Well, about a quarter or third, but I lose Aromatisse, but I'm able to weaken this guy pretty significantly. So now, like Aerodactyl looks pretty good here for the rest of his team. So I go for an Ironhead. I do get a crit, which doesn't really matter as much because he could just recover up. Here he goes for Toxic, as I go for Rocks. And I thought, this is like probably the only time I could get a Rocks now, so I'll just go for it. And yeah. Here I think I go hard Gliscor, hoping he doesn't burn me. And yeah, I don't get burned. So here I'm just gonna go for Roost, as he's gonna go for Scald again. I want to gauge the damage or how much I'm recovering. And at this point, I could just go for a Taunt here, as he can't recover, but he is able to get a pretty good damage onto me. Goes another 44%. As sometimes at this point, I'm like thinking to myself, why have I not clicked the Toxic button? And I'm probably wondering this myself too. I want to get back to full, but I don't know why I didn't click the Toxic button. I don't know why. I'm stuck at 6-9, so I am able to Toxic this thing, but I'm like, well, I don't know what to do against this guy. I'm gonna go hard Suicune, as he is finally able to get up his rocks. As I think I just go for a sub on the egg-killing Latios, and I'm gonna go for a Toxic here, because at this point, like, his team's gonna get chipped down pretty fast with Toxic and Rocks and whatnot, so I'm gonna go hard Mew, as he goes for Thunderbolt. My main concern is this thing having a, you know, Draco Meteor. So he goes for Psychic, and I'm like, okay, this is not that bad, so I could go for a knockoff here and just get rid of like possibly another item. So at this point, I think he's forced to switch out to Whimsy, as I do go for Nightshade, and I do a lot to him, so I'm thinking this thing might be offensive. And then he goes for U-turn, goes to Mismagius, and Mew just gets another kill here, or gets the first kill with for our team. And now it comes out the Milo, and this is what I want. This is the matchup I wanted. Like, Mew can just remove the item and just stall break him, and if he burns me, I burn him back. So basically, I'm going to be chipping him down significantly. So, and I could always negate his defense boost with this, you know, well, he will get the defense boost, but I could just bypass that whole, you know, defenses by just doing set damage. So here I'm just going to be able to go for Roost, and I got my low tick at like basically like around 30-something% after Rocks. So I go for Nightshade as he goes for EQ. And at this point, I'm like, this is pretty much like looking like game for me, unless I get rid of like the, you know, the Whimsicott somehow, or Whimsicott has like Sub-Siege of some sort. I think this game is like mine to lose. So yeah. So here I go to Volcarona, and I wanted to set up on this guy, but he gets a special attack drop, and I'm like, ah, crap. Now I cannot guarantee win right now. So yeah, Diancie swapped in as sack fodder, but you know, whatever. Because at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna go back to Mew, and we're gonna do the same dance again, as he reveals the refresh. So yeah, but this thing is also very weak. So as he's gonna try to recover, but as you see, Stall Break of Mew is just too much, and he goes for another Scald here, and yeah, Mew just basically is just gonna eat this team alive. Goes to Latios as he tries to recover, or as I recover, as he's gonna recover his own with Roost, and I'm just gonna go for a taunt. And yeah, at this point, this game is pretty much mine to lose again. He goes for Earthquake, which is very interesting. So I go for Nightshade as this thing dies to Toxic. And at this point, it's just, yeah. Mew, I think he's exactly at 38, so I could just kill him with Nightshade. And then Milo just comes in after Rocks or dies to Nightshade, I believe. Oh wait, just dies to Rocks, so yeah. And that's the game. Yeah, that's what he said, like, not much you can do against Mew. Like, yeah, I think Stall Break of Mew just was huge here. Being able to chip his team down, put some Toxic on Latios and onto like Milotic, that was like pretty huge for me. So all I could say is that Mew was definitely the MVP in that game. As I think after these two games, I think I realized where my team was going in terms of its direction. And I noticed that I lacked some very key things I would usually change. I also draft in the team. So Volcarona could have done stuff, but it wasn't needed. But it was kind of like it could have done stuff, but it was kind of like there was a Diancie there, and yeah. So an Arrow could have done stuff as well. It could have cleaned his team if he wanted to, but again, Mew and Gliscor, Suicune just stole the show. And also shoutouts to Aromatisse for dying and just holding off like Miss Magius a little bit. So yeah. So that's week 2. So I think we, for the first 2 weeks, we just go like what, 11 and plus 11 in differential and 2 and 1, which is hilarious. So yeah, I'm already proving Mew is pretty good in this league. Well, this set's already like, it's been there, but you'll see why. Like, you'll see when the next few battles, like some interesting stuff I bring with Mew. So yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of the video. Next video, which is gonna be kind of short, I'm gonna talk about the changes I made, as well as like the team, as well as week 3. So yeah, look forward to that. So, anyways, I'll see you guys soon.